I don't mind staying tonight because I have to be here for the 7 o'clock budget committee meeting.
Oh, okay.
You guys can talk as long as you want. Okay, 5:30 having arrived, I'm going to call the Select Board's meeting of September 7th, 2021 to order and start with a pledge of allegiance to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, our first agenda item this evening is an appointment with Mr. Ed Cross, who does not appear to be here. So I am going to note that Matt Fisher, the fire chief, is also not going to be with us this evening, although I'll wait and see if this shadow is Mr. Cross. It is not. That said, I would like to recognize Steve Rollins, who wanted to talk to us. He had a couple of items. I believe you wanted to talk with us about, Steve, that being salt shed and hiring for the opening at Highway.
Yep.
The mic is yours.
Okay, so I was just wondering where we were going with those two items.
I am not aware of the status of the salt shed RFP at this point.
It is not currently posted, as the board asked me to wait until the fall.
And we have now reached the fall, so.
I think we need to discuss that closed door.
Okay. Is the board in general agreement that we want to have a non-public session regarding the salt shed?
No, I was talking about the position.
Oh, the hiring. Okay. Regarding the salt shed,
Okay, sorry.
it is now fall.
Mm-hmm.
It is. I can't remember where we left off on that, to be honest
Yeah,
with you.
where are we on it, Steve?
Well, the last we had put it out to bid, but nobody bid on it.
Right.
Okay.
So, as far as I know, so now I'm just wondering if we're going to put it back out to bid, or are we going to do it in-house? I mean, we need to get it. It's the time of the year where I need to mix sand and salt, and you know, it would be helpful and handy. That's why we were building it in the first place.
So what's the board's pleasure at this point? Do we want to put this back out for another 2 weeks to see if we can get a bid on it?
Yeah, it's only
I think we're going to
September.
have to.
Okay. Can we go ahead and do that, John?
Mm-hmm.
Nothing's changed. So it's just a matter of John sending it out again.
Right. Yeah, you had Rick, I guess, redraw something, and then that's when it went out to bid, and then that's where it just stopped.
Okay.
I mean, I understand material went up wicked from last year, from the quote I had last year. So I know that, but it's come back down a little bit now, so
Yep.
it'd be nice to get it done.
All right, well, we will repost it, and certainly any of the usual suspects that have done work for us on similar-sized buildings, John, too, if you could reach out to them, see if we can encourage a bid. Okay.
Okay, so now on the other matter, on the replacing Carl, you
Yeah.
guys want to, talk about that? Amongst yourselves, or?
I think Dick had mentioned that he'd like to have a non-public to discuss this, but do you have any thoughts you'd like to give us at this point regarding the replacement?
It's coming on to the time of the year where I need that extra. I mean, it's one thing in the summertime to, you know, we had obviously the extra man in the spring. Then we got through, we didn't do a lot of reconstruction, so we were,
Right.
you know, it was just overlay and that kind of stuff. We're doing some tree work and stuff, which would be nice to have another set of hands, but winter is where it's really important.
Yep.
As it is, you know, we don't have drivers enough for what we have.
Well, I think unless there's objection, the board will discuss this in non-public and get back to you as expeditiously as possible.
Okay. On another note, knotweed, I was asked about knotweed, and that's been sprayed last Friday.
I did see Prescott
So
spraying.
he's been going around town, and it's all done.
Oh, it's all done?
All done.
Okay.
Yeah, one day.
Nice.
Yep. It'll take it a few weeks to brown up. It's not something that happens overnight, you know, just so you know.
Yeah. What's the current project? What are you guys working on now?
Tomorrow we're crack sealing. We'll be doing some crack sealing, trying to save where the water's getting into we got some bad joints between lanes, so we're gonna be doing some crack sealing.
Whereabouts?
We're gonna be doing Nottingham Road. We're gonna start with Nottingham Road and see how it goes there, and then move on from there.
Okay. Other questions for Steve while he's here? All right, hearing none, Steve, thank you for bringing those two things to our attention. And Dick, did you?
No, all good.
And we'll get back to you as quickly as we can on the highway position.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, tonight is our first budget review, and John has given us the starting go-round here, beginning with cemeteries. Page 24.
Except finding 24 is always fun.
That's right.
24th page.
There we go. Okay, looks like we have a total budget request of $24,949 for the 2022 budget year. As you can see on the sheet, that represents 116.3% increase, and actually I read the wrong number. That is the amount of the increase. The requested amount for 2022 is $46,401, which makes my percentages make a little more sense. And I believe we have a representative from the Cemetery Commission here. If you could give us an overview of the budget request. And
Okay, I really don't have a lot. Rick Druckenmiller from the cemetery group, and we had to increase for our superintendent because he was by far the lowest paid in the state for so long. So we had to bring him up, and trying to bring up our tree budgets because we can't keep up with the damaged trees they're doing. But other than that, I think it's pretty self-explanatory unless you have some questions.
we don't. We do have your backup from the commission. Does anyone have questions for Mr. Druckenmiller? Fred?
We're showing roughly a $10,000 increase for the contractors, and what does that increase cover?
Well, with the landscapers are going to cost more every year. Plus, we've discovered that we are responsible for a few more cemeteries than we thought we were responsible for.
Oh, okay.
So we're trying to get those caught up and cleaned up, and getting a lot of volunteers. The Boy Scouts are helping and things, but you know, it's like everything else. Money isn't there for what you need. So.
Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Other questions for Mr. Druckenmiller?
Well, I assume we've spent money on tree care this year, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. It's just showing year-to-date actual of 0. So,
That's probably a data entry.
we got plenty of time to figure that out, but
Right.
I know we've been doing tree work.
We have spent money on tree work, yes.
The Budget Committee will ask about that immediately, so.
Yes.
Yeah. And what are you guys, do you have any major tree jobs, or is this just,
Well, right now, Morrison has some trees that are on the edge of damaging the walls, and some of them are fearful of falling on monuments and so forth. We'd like to get those done. But really, for $5,000, you can't get a whole lot done.
Right.
couple trees?
You know, what we did out to, on the parade, we got rid of those. That was $15,000, and I think he does a favor on that.
And there was quite a bit of private money donated on that as well,
Yes,
right?
it was more than half private money.
Great.
So we keep working and see what we can get done. Keep up.
So you're contemplating another $10,000 for tree removal this year?
Well,
Is that what I'm reading?
if it became available, we can use it. Yes.
Yeah.
There's Morrison's just one example. There are some of the other cemeteries are borderline. You know, we're making do, getting them trimmed when we can, but some of them need to be taken out soon.
Yeah, And it's about, depending on the size of the job, I know it's running about 10 grand, a half dozen good-sized trees right now, so.
Yep. Yeah, it's not a cheap thing. Nothing is, I guess.
No, and you can't just drop them in the cemetery either, so.
No, you have to be awfully careful. And then you can't remove the stumps by law because you can't take a chance on what was buried there 200 years ago, so.
Hadn't thought of that.
I was reminded of that by Mr. Stone years ago when I asked if I could tap the maple trees in front of the Meeting House Hill Cemetery, and he said, absolutely not. You don't know what those roots are touching. Good point.
Yeah, you may not want that sap.
But, other questions for Mr. Druckenmiller?
All set.
Yeah.
Okay, if not, I would entertain a motion to accept the cemetery's requested budget in the amount of $46,401.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you for joining us, Mr. Druckenmiller.
Well, thank you.
Okay, and our next budget is back to the beginning. For the executive section, that being us, as well as the treasurer, the trustee of the trust funds. And we also have interest on the PSNH settlement included in this. The total request for 2022 is $17,501.
You mean the increase?
What was the,
The total request is,
17,501,
501.
right. And the increase is $10,040.
oh, I'm sorry, I was looking at
Yep,
the.
and the $10,000, or most of the increase, is for the trustee of the trust funds. And this is the service charge that we pay for money management now.
Yeah.
Motion to approve the 17,501.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Moving along, we have the ambulance on page 32.
can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Why do we bounce back and
Well, I think it's how the budgets come in, but John may have a better answer.
Cindy, I wish I had a more logical answer. I've been using the same schedule that I inherited from the previous. I don't have a rhyme or reason. Most, if they are scattered around, typically it's because someone like Rick Pelletier does the
32.
transfer station and building. In this particular case, this grouping has always come first. Most of them are me, so I think that's why they're grouped that way. There's only a few, but
Right, but
it's,
if you had started with one and
I hear you, Dick.
your new book here, John,
I will make a note to look
And
at
it's not like
that.
they're in order.
you're right. We
I'll
can
make
still
I'll make a note and look at that next year, so we're going in more order. I appreciate that.
do- We have a bunch more nights coming up, pal.
Okay, so with regard to the ambulance budget, obviously this is a contracted service, and we are looking at a budget amount, basically our subscription cost of $15,500, which is a $4,000 increase, and this has long been spelled out in our graduated contract that we have that escalates each year.
Yep.
So moved.
second?
Discussion. Just the one question I would ask, I can't recall how close we are to the end of this contract.
Didn't we just sign the 5-year
If
contract?
you look in your backup, this is the second year
the
of the
fifth.
contract, 2021 to 2026.
Great.
What we're just gonna vote on is second year.
Pardon?
What we're gonna vote on is second year.
It's the second year of the current contract.
Right.
But it's contractually budgeted for the next 4 years.
So if there's no further discussion, those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that takes care of ambulance. Moving to the Forestry Commission on page 79.
Almost at the end.
Sorry, Cindy.
70, 74, 75.
About that far back, Cindy.
Okay. Okay, and we have a request for $6. This is essentially keeping a placeholder $1 amount in each of their budget lines.
So moved.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
What is this for?
Forestry Commission, which.
We have a forestry commission?
I believe most of it is handled by the Conservation Commission at this point. We don't have an active Forestry Commission, but we keep the lines open in case of grants or if we do a timber sale, that sort of thing.
Okay.
Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so the Forestry Commission budget in the amount of $6 is approved. Debt services, page 81, 86. Okay, this one's actually in order, John. Good.
What page is it?
85. If you go
I
to
don't have
80
an 85, I have an 86.
I've got 85.
I have 85.
Well,
Okay,
I
yeah,
do have
86 is actually tax anticipation note,
86.
which
Yeah.
we hope not to use, so. What
That
page?
is the only budget line that has any money in it. The whole debt services run from 81 to 86, but I took those empty pages out of your paperwork.
So we've essentially got a $1 placeholder in this line
That's
as
all
well.
it is. Yep.
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none, those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, dropping back to page 74 for the Heritage Commission. We have a requested Heritage Commission budget for 2022 in the amount of $0.
That doesn't seem.
Still need a motion
right.
if there's no money?
Well, typically, we've had either $600,
74.
and I think we should at least put a buck in there.
We need at least
We
a
need
dollar.
to come back to that
Yeah.
because of the backup. That is an error in the entry. It should be 600. So if the board would like to add 600 in there, that's what.
I'll make a motion for 600 for the Heritage Commission.
Second.
And I know the Heritage Commission is planning on being more active than they have been in recent years, and in fact, have the last 6 months or so been much more active, so. We've got a motion and a second. Further discussion. Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Heritage Commission budget will remain at $600. Which we go back one to Memorial Day.
This one seems off as well.
This one
No, it's good.
is, the backup says $600, but there is no $600 in the budget request, so if someone wants to make a motion to,
So moved.
Page 73 does not have 600 in it?
It does.
not.
I have 600.
oh,
I
yes,
have
it does.
600.
I'm looking at the NBC thing. It does.
I was as well when I first
Good.
said that.
Yeah.
Take back the motion.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, do we have a new motion for the $600?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, motion and a second for $600. Further discussion. Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so Memorial Day stays at $600. And we have advertising on page 28, which is just our municipal association dues, John.
Correct.
Yeah, and this is our New Hampshire Municipal Association dues. This is based on town population. The request for 2022 is $4,514.
Second.
Discussion?
So this just changed based on last census?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was last census or not, but I'm assuming.
It has climbed each year.
I know, I was just wondering if we had the backup of saying, yes, it's on the census.
I would have to look, and usually we get billed the prior year for, so whether they went off of the census,
Okay.
I'd have to check for you.
They might have increased their dues amount too.
It's just something
Do that
I'm
from
willing
year
to
year.
bet the Budget Committee's going to ask.
Further discussion? We could use a motion.
We
So
did.
moved.
Yep.
Oh, we did?
We did?
Okay,
Me and Alden.
Yep.
very good. If there's no further discussion, those in favor?
Aye.
And the last budget we have this evening is the supervisors of the checklist, which is on page 5. I believe we have Ms. Waring with us this evening to discuss this. Get back to page 5. Sorry, Joanna, it's taking me a minute to get through the backup from the town clerk, tax collector. Okay. We have a budget request for the 2022 budget of $3,964 from the supervisors of the checklist, and I would recognize Mrs. Waring to give us a brief overview or answer questions.
Okay, so the supervisors, obviously, we change, our budget fluctuates every year based on the number of elections. So next year, we have 2 deliberative sessions and 3 elections. So I followed the same format that I've done the last 2 years as far as listing out the elections. The only other optional item I added, which we added last year, was we still looking to buy a shredder. And otherwise, our budget's pretty much the same with that slight fluctuation.
Questions? Hearing none. Could use a motion.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second for the budget request of $3,964. Those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, appears to be unanimous.
Great.
Thank you for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Simple and easy. Yeah, that's enough flipping for tonight.
Diane's gonna love us.
I'll fix it for next week.
Okay, moving on to regular business. We have outstanding minutes from 8/30/2021, and I have several corrections I'll start with. Mr. Thompson notified me that on page 4, lines 10 and 11, he did not send me an email regarding the outlet of Thurston Pond. And I commented that I had gotten an email. That's because John had forwarded the email, had forwarded the letter as an email to me when he received it. And it was about Thurston Pond Road, not Thurston Pond. So if we can clarify that for Mr. Thompson. He also noted that page 4, lines 13, 14, and 16, his letter said nothing about the water bar or trenching on Thurston Pond Road. And I had commented generally when we were speaking about that, and I believe I had Mr. Cross mixed up with Mr. Thompson. I had either received a letter, an email, or spoken with both of them in fairly short order in that time frame. But those comments could be attributed to Mr. Cross as opposed to Mr. Thompson. I don't know if other folks have corrections.
Motion to approve is corrected by Andrew.
16 and 17 was regarding the trench.
Right.
Well, so that is Mr. Thompson.
No.
I thought I looked at that. Okay, so what's he saying?
I think it was
Lines
just,
13, 14, and 16. Oh, okay, so it's just lines 13 and 14, then it would be affected. And the first sentence of 16 could be
Correct.
considered part of that too. Okay, there's no further discussion. Those in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Okay.
You the
Oh,
same
abstain.
Oh, was there Fred
One
abstained?
abstention.
Oh, Fred abstained, but do we need to have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Alden is now the second. Okay, moving to payroll. We have a payroll manifest with a gross of $77,236.44, which nets out at $49,367.56.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
And we have an accounts payable manifest in the amount of $539,035.25. Obviously, the lion's share of that, $500,000, is going to the school district.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion regarding accounts payable. Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, in the correspondence file, we don't have much. There is a copy of my written response to George Thompson regarding his letter. He contacted John in the middle of the week and said that his original letter from the end of August had asked two specific questions: if the board performed or authorized excavation on Thurston Pond Road, and/or do we know the identity of the individuals who performed the excavation? And I responded to Mr. Thompson that we did not authorize any excavation work on Thurston Pond Road, and further, we do not know who may have done excavation on said road.
Well said.
And it's generally been within the town's best interest for us not to do maintenance on Thurston Pond Road, and we actually have maintenance agreements with members, with residents of Thurston Pond Road for maintenance of said road. So, and typically, if they were going to, you know, propose major maintenance on that road, they would contact either the Board of Selectmen or the highway agent. And I don't think this board has ever cared particularly if they are applying a little gravel or smoothing the road out, that sort of thing. But we also have a letter from Southern New Hampshire Planning Commission. If we want to do another road audit, applications are due October 15th. The same deadline for signal warrant studies. If we have anywhere in town that we think a traffic light might be needed, we can apply to them to do the necessary work and traffic count, et cetera. And I believe that is the same date, so we've got a little time, but I don't imagine that we want to do another road audit this quickly. But if you've got a burning desire to put a traffic light somewhere, we have till October 15th to apply. In the signature file from the assessor, we have a disposition of abatement, and they are looking for a $267 abatement plus any interest due payable to Eversource for a PSNH tower lease. The selectmen to see the assessor's letter. Attached is my revised recommendation for the above referenced property. As always, should you have concerns, do not hesitate to contact me, Evan Roberge. And there is a page and a half here of his reasoning for abating $267 on the PSNH tower lease.
Motion to approve the abatement.
Second.
Discussion? Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to keep this file because I've got some other information in it. With regard to total climate control, John, this is for...
That is the propane heating installation. It needed to be signed, and I
Right, okay.
neglected to have you do that last
We had
time,
made a motion,
to approve it.
That's the
Previously.
5,000 something?
yes, it's
Yeah.
$5,992.
And they won't set a date for installation until it's signed.
Okay, do I need to sign it in both places? 2 lines, I don't know if that's for their receipt of it, or...
No, I think that's yours, acceptance by.
Hold that up for discussion. Which brings us to the town administrator's report.
Several items for you this evening. The first being, I'd like to get the board's approval to purchase 10 air purifiers out of the ARPA grant funds. Those would be for the upcoming fall and winter season, primarily the offices that don't have ventilation, which would be the Parks and Rec office, assessing, town clerk, the fire rescue upper floor, the highway department, BOS meeting room, and 2 in the police department, and 2 in the library. Because of their close environment, even though they have a ventilation system, it doesn't do the same thing. Each unit would be $349, with a replacement filter for each at $150. The total purchase price would be $4,990.
And are these freestanding? They don't require
They
installation?
plug in.
or-
Nope.
Okay.
Many of them are used in doctor's offices, dental offices. You've
Mhm.
probably seen them before.
Yep.
And we need to purchase these even with the ventilation system that's going in down.
That's not, the Parks and Rec office itself is not part of the ventilation system. With the 3 people work in very close quarters, there's no ventilation in that room.
So what's the board's pleasure? Do we want to authorize John to use the federal grant money to purchase the air purifiers?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Hearing none. Those in favor?
Aye.
Appears to be unanimous, John.
Okay, thank you. Just a public announcement. This Saturday is the 20th anniversary of the 9/11 event. There will be a town invited event, a town invitation to a remembrance ceremony at the gazebo beginning at 8:30. Everyone is invited. A few words will be spoken by the town moderator, Dan Holdridge. He's offered to speak.
Okay.
And lastly, the first section of the GB White building, which is this section here, has started to leak. And we've had a quote by one roofing company come in. We're now seeking 2 additional quotes per our purchasing policy. If they're repaired, there's several holes. And if those are repaired along with the seams, we're likely to get 6 or 7 more years out of the roof. Other than that, we'd be looking at a total replacement. In addition to that work, they would also remove 2 original vent fans that are over old stacks, part of the ventilation system from the 50s, that are rusted open and basically draw out air 12 months out of the year, which don't help with the heating costs in the building. They are willing to take those vent fans off and seal over them and make it part of the roof.
What kind of roof do we have up there?
It's a membrane
Membrane.
rolled roof.
Okay, it is.
And I'll be back to the board when we have several more quotes to choose from.
Could we get the additional quotes to include sealing off those vents?
They're all going to be the same
will, okay.
requirements, so that you're comparing like work.
Good,
We didn't get a
okay.
ballpark from them, did we?
We did.
Can't announce it until we get the
It
bids.
would,
yes.
I'd rather have the
Yeah.
quotes in
No,
front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just needed an estimate to go with, to move forward with. Hopefully I'll have those for you within the next 2 weeks. That's it for me this evening.
Great. Thank you, John. Questions for John?
Yeah, the ARPA money, did we find out if the police radios for communication would be included in that yet?
Yes, and I've talked to the chief several times. I'm just waiting to get some quotes from him or an estimate so that we can put it through.
Okay.
Great. Okay. Moving on to unfinished business. I don't know what other folks have. I have want to discuss the pre-construction contract agreement that Mike Callahan at Gruen Construction prepared for us. And in particular, Fred, we didn't discuss this until you were back, given your expertise in this sort of thing. And I think we have copies.
Yeah. I've got a copy.
Okay, good. And I didn't know what your thoughts were. We probably need to move forward with an RFP before we...
Right. And I'd ask that we try and keep this confidential if we can. Since any other bidder would, if this information became available to them, they'd have one leg up, so to speak, over Groen, basically.
Right.
But yeah, I would be. I think it would be good to be able to get a copy of what Farmington used for an RFP, and we could then take and use some of the information that Groen had provided to set up the RFP with these specific information that they've provided here to be included in in what we get for the other bids.
Okay. Is that, I'm trying to recall, do we have Farmington's RFP language,
I,
John?
I did ask for it, I did get it.
You did?
It's
Okay.
basically a page.
Okay.
Okay,
It's all right.
There's not very much detail. I can share it with you, Fred, if
Okay.
you'd like to look at it.
yep.
Was this gonna be based on across the street we were talking about? Or, I know, remember him saying if we had a,
Yeah, well, at this point, it would be,
Yeah.
unless this board, has a different venue that they'd like to consider. I will throw out there, it's probably too complicated for a quick get-together to have ready in time for a deliberative session, but it had occurred to me over the last 6 months that it might be easier to move the highway department to the transfer station site, which a lot of communities do, and use that nice, flat, centrally located area to put the police
so
department.
that's where that rumor came from.
If,
Yeah, it wasn't a rumor.
if Gruen came back or whoever, we end up with, came back and said, no, that site across the street is entirely unsuitable,
But
and,
that goes with our wish, though, that we wanted it to stay in the center of town with the police, so.
Yeah,
Well, that's fine. We're gonna build them a salt shed. They could just move right in there and use that.
Cruiser parking.
Well, this is all gonna depend on the site work, that man was saying, right?
yeah.
yep. And
Obviously, if you ended up putting it where the highway department is, it would substantially reduce the site work cost.
yeah, that's my thought, and the highway shed is not in particularly great condition.
shape, yeah, for sure.
So that might put a hold on the salt shed.
Conceivably. And we actually did used to have the police department located there, so.
Hmm.
Remember that.
Throwing a wrench in the works.
If I may, so am I still posting the salt shed?
I would move forward with posting
Okay.
this
We need to
also,
see if anybody wants to bid on it.
Okay, I'm just going off of Cindy's comment there.
Can do a salt 10. But, okay, well, if we could get a look at the Farmington.
Sure.
piece,
Bring us
and-
up next week.
Yeah, and go from there, looking to put out an RFP. Other unfinished new or other business? Hearing none. Do we want to go into non-public this evening to discuss the highway position?
Well, the highway agent asked us to, so we're gonna give him an
It's
answer.
early, but.
Yeah.
'Cause we might have something else next week to go along with it.
Oh, okay.
So do you want to hold off until next week to discuss that position?
I think so.
All right,
can
board and
wait.
general agreement, we'll do a non-public to discuss
Next
the
week,
open highway position next week.
okay.
So, and I don't have any other reason to go into non-public. So at this point, I would entertain citizens' comments. Seeing no citizens rushing to the microphone, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn at 6:08.
We are in adjournment. Oh, well, all those in favor?
All right.